Welcome, history enthusiasts, to another exciting episode of Tea with History. I'm your host, Dr. Eleanor Timesworth, and today we have an absolutely thrilling debate for you. We've managed to bring together two of the most intriguing figures from the Napoleonic era, Her Majesty Queen Maria I of Portugal and the Emperor himself, Napoleon Bonaparte. Let's dive right in, shall we? Your Majesty, Emperor, thank you for joining us today. Let's start with the elephant in the room, the continental system. Napoleon, would you care to open?
Certainly, Dr. Timesworth. So, Maria, let's talk about how you let the British slip through your fingers. Tell me, did you think you could resist my brilliant continental system forever?
Resist? Napoleon, I didn't resist. Portugal simply followed its oldest and strongest ally, the British. Not that you'd understand loyalty, of course.
Loyalty? Loyalty is irrelevant in the face of power. You could have been a part of my empire, my grand vision for Europe, but instead, you clung to your precious British alliance like a lifeline.
Oh yes, very precious. After all, it was the British fleet that graciously escorted us to Brazil, far away from your little invasion.
Ah yes, Brazil. So brave of you to flee with your entire royal court across the Atlantic.
Running to Brazil wasn't cowardice, Napoleon. It was strategy. We turned a colony into a thriving empire. While you were busy invading Spain and dragging your troops through endless mud, we were building an empire that outlasted your ambitions.
An empire? What sort of empire is that, Maria? A tropical paradise while the rest of Europe burned in the fires of revolution?
Better than an empire built on shaky ground, Napoleon. Tell me, how's that Egyptian campaign treating you?
Oh my, we're off to a fiery start. Napoleon, it seems Queen Maria has touched a nerve. Care to respond?
Tsk. Egypt was an adventure, Maria, a minor detour. Let's focus on your Portugal. Why didn't you join the continental system? All I wanted was to starve the British and end their trade dominance. Portugal would have been better off without them.
You make it sound so simple. Just starve the British, you say? But do you realize how utterly dependent we were on them for trade? To cut ties would have collapsed our economy. And what did you offer in return? French wines and perfumes. Please.
We offered you freedom, Maria. Freedom from British shackles. But you were too blind to see it.
Freedom? Napoleon, you marched your armies across Europe, crowned yourself emperor, and you call that freedom? Please. You were no better than the monarchs you claimed to replace. Except you were shorter. Giggles, giggles.
Shorter? Is that your idea of wit? I was average height, Maria. For a Frenchman of my time, perfectly normal.
Let's try to keep things above the belt, shall we? Or should I say, above the height chart? Moving on, let's discuss the invasion of Portugal. Your Majesty, what are your thoughts on Napoleon's military action?
Normal height, you say? I suppose the view wasn't great from up there on your high horse. But let's return to the real issue. You sent Juno to Portugal thinking you'd simply walk in. And what happened? Your army fell apart. The British sent their troops. The people rebelled. Your grand plans failed.
Juno was overconfident. He didn't anticipate the guerrilla warfare that erupted in Portugal. Besides, he was only the first wave. I could have sent more, but my focus shifted to Spain.
Ah, yes, Spain. Another shining moment in your illustrious career. How did that go for you again?
It seems we've touched on a series of setbacks for the French Empire. Napoleon, how do you reflect on these events now?
Spain was complicated, but I had other priorities. Russia, Austria, and Prussia all needed my attention. My downfall came later, at the hands of betrayal and bad luck, not Portugal.
Bad luck? Or maybe the consequences of overreaching? Even an empire as vast as yours couldn't stand on ambition alone, Napoleon.
Perhaps. But let's not pretend your situation was ideal either, Maria. Your son, João VI, had to deal with the mess after you passed. He barely held Portugal together. And Brazil? It declared independence within a decade.
Yes. João had a difficult task. But at least we gave Brazil the chance to become a nation of its own, free from European entanglements.
History was never kind to us, Maria. But in the end, we both left our marks.
It's fascinating to see how your perspectives have evolved. As we wrap up this incredible debate, do you have any final reflections to share?
Indeed, Napoleon. Despite our differences, we were leaders who faced monumental challenges. My Portugal survived by outwitting you. And you, well, your ambition reshaped Europe, even if it didn't last.
Ambition may not last, but legacies do. I'll be remembered for my boldness, and you for your resilience. Perhaps we weren't so different after all.
Oh, Napoleon. If only you'd embraced diplomacy rather than war, we might have shared a pot of tea instead of battles.
Tea? I'm more of a coffee man myself, but maybe, just maybe, you're right.
And on that surprisingly cordial note, we'll bring our debate to a close. Thank you, Queen Maria I and Emperor Napoleon, for this fascinating glimpse into your historical conflict and its far-reaching consequences.
Next time, Napoleon, don't invade without asking first.
And next time, Maria, don't run away to Brazil.
Well, there you have it, folks. A debate that spanned continents, reshaped empires, and ended with a touch of humor. Join us next time on Tea with History for more exciting encounters with the past. Until then, keep exploring, keep questioning, and remember, history is always more complex than it first appears.